Happy Thursday to all of you out there in social media world. This is, yes, Brother Dana coming to you from Chicago. Today is what they call Valentine's Day. So we'll move on from there. Anyway, I like to always, when I start these videos and stuff, want to give all honor to my Hebrew Israelite family members. And as always, thank you for all your love and your support. Today and tonight's video, I should say, is again definitely geared towards my Gentile family members, and specifically those that call themselves Christians or believers of the Bible. And as you know, tomorrow is supposed to be this big day, whether or not President Trump will sign this bill, or to sign or make happen what he claims his followers definitely want, is this wall to be built to keep out all these horrible people from coming into this country and killing us white Americans. So obviously, in a nutshell, what we want to do is we want to build a wall so that what we did to the Native American Indians, and what we did to our so-called black brothers and sisters, and what we have done to all kinds of other human beings will not happen back unto us. How dare we reap what we sow? At least not when it's bad seeds. But may we sow good seeds and reap good things. And so with that type of mindset, I would like to challenge my Gentile family members, evangelicals. Do you believe that God will hold back judgment because of a wall? Do you believe our wall that we are constructing, that we want to say we're constructing it to hold back these gang members and these drug dealers and all these evildoers from coming into this country and doing unto us what we've done unto all of them? So are you going to tell me that you believe that the God that we have been taught to serve is a God that is restricted or held back, or will not pour out his judgment upon us because we've built a wall? Well, let's look. So I looked at some walls that were built in Bible times around a couple cities. I looked at the wall around Jerusalem, and it says the length of the wall was 4,018 meters, which is 2.4966 miles. Their average height was 39.37 feet, and the average thickness was 8.2 feet. And not only was it a wall, but the wall contained 34 watchtowers, and with only 7 main gates open for traffic, with 2 minor gates reopened by archaeologists. But yet we know that that wall had to fall because Nehemiah went back to rebuild the wall. So keep in mind now, to my Gentile family members, who were living in the city of Jerusalem? As we know, it was God's chosen people, correct? But yet, even the wall that was built around that city crumbled down. Then let's look at the wall of Babylon. And the reason why I want to bring up Babylon is because when I did some research, I found out that this was one of the most impressive walls that were ever built. And it says that the walls were said to be 56 miles long, 80 feet thick, and 320 feet high. 80 feet thick, 320 feet high. Yet, when I have done my research, it was found that those walls also came crumbling down. And now let's look at the famous wall, the wall of Jericho. The wall that went around a city that was in the way of God's chosen people, the Hebrews, from possessing their promised land. The wall was possibly built in order to prevent floods, and the tower used for ceremony purposes. But the dimensions of the wall were 4.9 to 6.6 feet thick, 3.7 to 5.2 meters, which is 12 to 17 feet high, as well as that of the tower, which was 28 feet high, served as a defensive purpose, mechanism. But however, surrounding this wall of Jericho was a ditch that was 27 feet wide by 9 feet deep, cut through solid bedrock with a circumference around the town as of much as 2,000 feet. Yet did this wall hold back the Hebrews from obtaining the fulfillment of the promise of God? And the answer is no. None of these physical walls held back the judgment of God. So let's go into Leviticus chapter 26, verses 39 to 42. And those of you who are left shall waste away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, also in their fathers' iniquities, which are with them, they shall waste away. Wait. Most of us, not me, but most of my Gentile family members want to keep saying that I never owned a slave, I never did this, that was a long time ago, I don't have to take responsibility, and now even when you see, but what gets me is when you see the injustices on TV, you still wipe your hands of the blood by saying, well, I need to know the whole story about that young black man before I consider it a tragedy that he was shot 16 times. Here in Leviticus, it says that the iniquity of the forefathers will be there upon the children. But if they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their unfaithfulness in which they were unfaithful to me, will you tell me as a believer in Jesus Christ that coming into a land and murdering, raping, and slaughtering innocent people for one reason, to obtain their land, was Christ-like? Can you tell me and will you tell me enslaving our so-called black brothers and sisters? And you want to say, well, we were given them. Okay, so then if I want to go out and have sex with an 11-year-old girl that their mother or father gave her up for prostitution so that they could have some extra spending money, I am justified in that because this 12-year-old girl was given up by her parents. So therefore, I'm clean of whatever I do to her. But if they confess their iniquity and iniquity of their fathers with their unfaithfulness in which they were unfaithful to me, and that they also have walked contrary to me. See, we still are walking contrary to the love that we are to give to all people. Isn't that what Christianity teaches? Love all people. We do not love all people. And that I also have walked contrary and to them and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If their uncircumcised hearts are humbled and they accept their guilt, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob and my covenant with Isaac and my covenant with Abraham. I will remember. I will remember the land. So this here isn't even talking to us as Gentiles, the wild branch. This is talking to the very people, chosen children, the Hebrew Israelites of God. So if God himself will hold his own children to this type of responsibility and accountability, Do you really think that we as the wild branch who was only grafted in are exempt or above the very chosen people of God? Well, let's see what the scripture says. Don't listen to me. And the reason why I bring this up is an individual, and you know this individual already, who he is not, posted about how Obama could and should have used all that money to build the wall instead of giving to Iraq. And so again, Christian people, to think and this is what I wrote, to think that white Americans want a wall to stop intruders, yet we intruded into this land and murdered millions of people to get it. Maybe we should repent instead of trying to build a wall. Is God's judgment limited or hindered by a wall? And again, what do my people do? Really? Let's talk about the Crusaders. Never do we ever want to take any responsibility for what we do. But let's see what God does. God held his own children responsible, even for the iniquities of his father. Why? Because he still recognized that they were still living contrary to his will. I don't care what our forefathers did. We know what they did. But we are still living contrary to this day to what we profess we believe in. So let's go to Romans chapter 11, verses 17 to 21, which Paul wrote to us Gentiles, white evangelical Christians. But if some of the branches were broken off, yes, some of the branches, the original branches, we know, as we call it, the white Jews, they were broken off because of their disobedience. And so therefore, although a wild olive shoot were grafted in among the others and now share in the nourishing root of the olive tree, do not be arrogant toward the branches. So now I need to tell you that the branches are not the Jews, the white Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, the fake Jews. The branches are our so-called black brothers and sisters who are living amongst us, and those also on the other side of the border that we want to build a wall to protect us from reaping what we sowed when we sowed murder and rape and strife into all kinds of groups of people, but specifically the Native American Indians and our so-called black brothers and sisters. Do not become arrogant towards those branches. We are arrogant towards the original branches of the olive tree, which are our so-called black brothers and sisters. If you are, remember it is not you who support the root, but the root that supports you. We have an attitude that we do God a favor when we go to church. It is us that supports him because we work hard. We plant, we labor, and we reap what we sow. And isn't that what we tell each other? Blacks are in the position that they're in because they have sown laziness, drugs, and violence. Is that not what we teach? And is that why we don't have much sorrow for our young children that are black? Because we believe, well, guess what? Their mothers and fathers and grandfathers made certain choices that have caused them to end up the way they are. But when that same principle is placed on us, well, let's talk about the Crusaders. Then you will say, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. That is true. They were broken off because of their unbelief. But you stand fast through faith. We don't have faith. We have the sword. We don't have faith. We have arrogance, pride. That's why we build a wall and arm ourselves with swords instead of repenting. So do not become proud, but fear. No, I'm not preaching gloom and doom. I'm preaching the word. For if God did not spare the natural branches, neither will he spare us. Romans chapter 11, verses 17 to 21. So will you still tell me that you believe this wall is going to hold back that? Thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Dana coming to you from Chicago. If you like to respond, you might not be able to see it very good. www.onelovesociety.love. That's onelovesociety.lov. Thank you for tuning in. And again, to my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, shalom. And to my 4 Gentile believers in this truth, shalom. And that does not remove the truth of what I am sharing. What it does reveal is the blindness of the people that I'm trying to share this with. Shalom.